ambulance case, Ato Forson's ambulance case, right here on, tonight's edition of a show. You know that calls have intensified for the Attorney General, Godfrey Dubois-Dame, to resign. One of such persons who have been calling for his resignation is the former director of the Ghana School of Law and founder of Mount Crest University College, in person of Mr. Ansan Sari. He has called for the resignation of the Attorney General. The NDC is also calling for the resignation of the Attorney General. Why are they calling for his resignation? They believe that a certain conversation he had with a third accused in the matter, in person of Mr. Richard Jakpa, is not in the right direction, and it's unethical. Quite apart from that, it violates some portions of our law, and for that reason they think that he must resign. The NDC is even calling for his prosecution. I'll bring you a bite on that. But the MPP thinks otherwise. Immediately after the NDC's press conference to play the tape and call for his resignation, the New Patriotic Party also held a press conference, and they have indicated that, one, the tape played was doctored. Apart from the fact that that tape was doctored, they believe that the Attorney General has not done anything wrong that will warrant his resignation. For that reason, he is not resigning. Before I introduce my guest for tonight's discussion, let's listen to the NDC whilst they were calling for the resignation of the Attorney General and his prosecution. Let's listen to them. We'll be right back.
Dame, for bringing the high office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice into disrepute and public opprobrium. Clearly, Mr. Dame is not fit to hold himself out as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. He is unfit to be the leader of the Ghana Bar. 2. The immediate prosecution of Godfrey Dame for multiple violations of the laws of Ghana. We wish to make it clear that should President Akufo-Addo refuse or fail to prosecute him, a future NDC government will prosecute Godfrey Dame for this heinous crime of fabrication of evidence. 3. Commencement of disciplinary proceedings by the General Legal Counsel against Godfrey Dame and his disbarment for conduct unbecoming of a lawyer, and more importantly, the leader of the Ghana Bar. 4. A publicly televised parliamentary inquiry into this and other reports of judicial manipulations by Godfrey Dame with a view to censor Godfrey Dame to prevent the recurrence of such judicial manipulations. In conclusion, friends from the media, it is clear from the incontrovertible evidence we have adduced today that the government has no evidence of wrongdoing against the minority leader, but is only involved in fabrications to persecute him as retribution for his strong opposition to the economic mismanagement and general misrule of the
proceedings
of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. He addressed the press, but immediately after the National Democratic Congress's press conference to play the audio tape and to also call for the resignation and prosecution of the Attorney General, the New Patriotic Party held a counter press conference. They think that the audio tape that was played by the National Democratic Congress was doctored, and they think that calls on the Attorney General to resign are calls that are needless. They are calls that are not necessary, and for that reason the Attorney General will not resign. They believe that the Attorney General has done no wrong that will warrant his resignation. Frank Davis is part of the MPP legal team. Let's listen to him.
In this matter have run his full course since commencement in December 2021. The prosecution, led by the able Attorney General, called 5 witnesses in proof of its case. Lawyers for first accused, in an attempt to truncate the proceedings, filed a submission of no case and urged the court to rule that Kesel Atuforsen had no case to answer, as no prima facie case had been made against him. This plea was outrightly rejected by the court, presided over by Justice Ifia Sewa Asaribotre, a justice of the Court of Appeal, sitting as an additional High Court judge. The court ruled, among others, that the Attorney General had led sufficient evidence to establish a case against Atuforsen and therefore ordered him to open his defense. Atuforsen subsequently opened his defense and also closed his case. The third accused, Richard Jakpa, also opened his case and was last Thursday being cross-examined when he made a scandalous, malicious, baseless, and spurious allegation that the Attorney General had approached him on several occasions to skew his testimony to implicate Atuforsen. Ladies and gentlemen, why would any credible person do such a thing? Indeed, if the Attorney General had any intention of having him skew the evidence in favor of Atuforsen, it would not just be just for the Attorney General to continue the prosecution of Atuforsen. But that is what the NDC wants us to believe. Ladies and gentlemen, it is no secret that the NDC ever since the commencement of Atuforsen's prosecution has threatened rain and storm against government, the Attorney General, and any person they can find to cajole the Attorney General from discontinuing the prosecution. Pressure has come from every angle, including former President Mahama, the leadership of the minority in parliament, the clergy, business friends of Atuforsen, etc., etc. Indeed, former President Mahama specifically maintained the discontinuance of the ambulance trial as a condition to get members of the minority in parliament to agree to the recent recall in parliament, and has on several other occasions stated it as a condition precedent for the cooperation of the minority in parliament. Since the Attorney General was appointed into office, he has been arguably one of the most successful both in and out of court. As remarkably noted by the President at the last State of the Nation's address, he has successfully saved the state over 10 trillion Ghanaian cedis, and his verve in protecting public resources is shown by his commitment to the prosecution of public officials whose acts have resulted in huge financial loss to the state. This is beside the other several infrastructure and logistical improvements to the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, including the almost completed Law House. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is the firm belief of the NDC and Atuforsen, if it is the firm belief of the NDC and Atuforsen that no loss had occasioned the state from its conduct, then they should just remain faithful to our judicial system and seize these malicious orchestrations targeted at bastardizing our judicial system and to prevent him from standing trial to its final conclusion. They should just keep quiet and let the proceedings in court continue. We are very clear in our minds that the cause for the resignation of the Attorney General is misplaced, unwarranted, and this will not put any spokes in the prosecution of Kesel Atuforsen and his associates. Ladies and gentlemen, the call for the resignation of the Attorney General coming from the NDC is very, very rich. The NDC calling on the Attorney General to resign from office. That is rich Ghanaians. The AG will not resign. He will continue to remain witty, resolute, and focused in the delivery of his work, as he does always.
So that was lawyer Frank Davis. He's a member of the MPP legal team. He addressed the press to counter what the NDC said in their press conference. But he has served a notice that the Attorney General will not resign. And their call on the Attorney General to resign will not have any effect on, the case in court. Let's see how it goes. But you can join in the conversation by sending in your views, comments, and contributions on a WhatsApp text line displayed on the screen. I'll be reading those messages out for you. Those of you watching us on Facebook, please share the Facebook Live. Please share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. I've been joined in the studio by a private legal practitioner and a member of the NDC's legal team in person of lawyer Eric Delano Alifo. He would help us understand the issues properly, put it in proper perspective. Lawyer, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to interact with you and your viewers. Yeah.
Now, this is on you. We've all known what is happening currently. Your party held a press conference.
Yes.
And they played a tape of the Attorney General who was in a conversation with the third accused in the ambulance trial case. It looks as if your party is saying that the Attorney General, has done something wrong by allegedly trying to get the third accused to say things that will incriminate the first accused in person of the minority leader, Dr. Kesiela Tuforsin. Yes. What does it mean for an Attorney General, for any lawyer in the first place, to have a direct contact or a personal conversation with an accused person in a matter, without going through the accused person's lawyers? Has the person done any wrong?
Yes, of course. And thank you. And again, good evening to your viewers. Yes, and actually, and you started by saying it seems my party has accused the Attorney General of having done something wrong. Yeah, actually, it is not my party that is accusing the Attorney General. My party, all that my party has done was to bring out or to inform the public about what the Attorney General has done. And so we have to focus on what actually the Attorney General has done.
Okay.
And then why it is important for the NDC to bring it out for the general public to know about it. But coming to your specific question, as to whether there's anything wrong with the Attorney General having contacted an accused person in the trial or in the prosecution that he is even doing, he's managing without the consent of the lawyer. Yes, there's an express provision.
Okay, what's that provision?
Yeah, there's a provision in the legal profession rules. It's called the Professional Conduct and the Etiquette Rules 2020. I think LI 2423. Yes, 2423. And there's a Rule 13.1 which specifically bars lawyers from contacting any party in fact, not even just a party, a witness. A witness may not be a party in the case. It's just going to be a witness for a party in the case. So as long as that witness is represented by a lawyer or a party is represented by a lawyer, then a lawyer in the case will not contact that witness or that party directly. So this is an express provision that is there, that you don't have to. And the reason is that it's even more serious in criminal matters. And criminal matters because somebody's liberty is at stake. Because at the end of the trial, of a criminal trial, or what we call prosecution, there will be punishment. It's not like civil trial where you just want to correct controversies between two sides. In this case, it is something that the law says you have done which is wrong against the state or against the republic. And so when they prosecute you and you are found liable, you can be put in jail. And so because the liberty of the accused person is at stake, if the person who is actually prosecuting that accused person, if he approaches the accused person without the person's lawyer, that person is vulnerable. Yes, and so you can approach the person and tell the person to do anything, and the person may have to do it because the person is afraid of going to jail. And so and then we also have to understand, there's one important thing that the general public, those who are listening, and when they hear this, they carry it out to others. You see, they have to understand that it is only the Attorney General that makes the decision of whom to prosecute and whom not to in this country. That is very, very, very important, because you see, there's always the perception that, well, there's a group of people or category of people who are always prosecuted and perhaps jailed, and others, and so it means they are the only people who are doing the wrong things in the country. No, it is a decision of somebody, decision of an official appointed by the president to prosecute 1, 2, 3, 4 people, but not 6, 7, 8, 7 people. Yeah, so the Attorney General makes that decision, and so, and that decision is not questionable. We cannot say anything, because even if you question, he has the discretion, and so you can belong to party A, party B. Let me be very direct, MPP, NDC, and then you may have committed, you may have done the same thing, or acted in the same way, and then he will decide that I'll prosecute those coming from NDC side, and I'll not prosecute those coming from the MPP side. We can't do anything, because he has that discretion, he has that power to make that decision. And so he decides the person to take to court and the person not to take to court. And so the Attorney General decides, and in fact, when he goes to court, there's something also we call the nolle prosequa. It means the Attorney General at some point can decide that I'm going to drop charges against this person or the other person, drop all the charges, stop the prosecution without giving any reason. You can do that. The judge will not even question, because it is the Attorney General's discretion to go with the prosecution. So I decided, no, as for Mr. A, I'm not interested in prosecuting Mr. A anymore. And that is why the Attorney General can always cut deals with witnesses, with parties in the case. And that is why it is, in this case, Attorney General, we are even talking about criminal. Even in civil, that's why you cannot contact somebody who has a lawyer, because we don't know what you are going to tell the person and whether you are going to bring some influence to bear on the person and all of that. Because of that, approach the person through the person's lawyer, because the lawyer would stand toe-to-toe with you and argue whatever you want to bring out. So when this Attorney General went out of his way to contact the third accused person, who could have gone to jail if this trial goes according to the way the Attorney General wants it and it's liable, that person could actually go to jail. So if you approach him and you want him to behave in a particular manner or give testimony in a particular manner, well, the man is vulnerable. If he's not a very strong-willed person, you can easily harass him, easily push him to do whatever you want.
And there are a lot unfolding with regards to the Attorney General contacting the third accused.
Yes.
First thing is that we're told that it wasn't the Attorney General that contacted Mr. Richard Jakpa, and that it was Mr. Richard Jakpa who contacted the Attorney General first. In fact, if you look at some WhatsApp messages, screenshots of WhatsApp messages that some of us have seen, the picture is being painted as though it was Mr. Richard Jakpa who first contacted the Attorney General. Does the law prescribe who contacts who?
No, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. And my understanding is that I saw that brief WhatsApp conversation.
Very well.
And my understanding is that Mr. Jakpa was in a problem earlier on, some sort of problem, and then he contacted somebody who spoke with the Attorney General, and the Attorney General intervened for him to be granted bail. And so he sent a message to express appreciation. And then in the process, he also asked if he could meet the Attorney General privately for some personal issue. And the Attorney General suggested that, well, he would arrange the meeting through a third party, and then so that's it. But even if the contact that led to the audio that we all
the conversation,
heard, even if that one was even initiated by the accused person. The accused person is a layman. He's not bound by our etiquette rules, our professional conduct rules. But the Attorney General is a lawyer. He knows that, and he's the first gentleman of the bar. So he knows that. And so if this man was contacting him, he was in the right place to tell him that, no, we cannot discuss the case.
So it behoves on the Attorney General to make sure that the right thing is done, to make sure that he does not
Yes.
flout
Yes.
the rules.
Yes, so you should have told him clearly that that is if he was the one that initiated, which is not even the case from all indication from what we have heard. But I'm saying that assuming that it was even correct that he was the one that initiated, Attorney General should have just told him that no, our professional conduct, our professional rules do not allow me to speak with you because you are in a case that I am prosecuting, and so we are adversaries. We are on both sides. Either sides of the matter, and so you and I cannot discuss this matter. Now, they can discuss the matter if it's about a plea. Everybody is hearing about plea bargains and
plea
all
bargain,
of that.
yeah.
People may
We
be
will
confused.
come to that.
Yes, okay. So, but even that, you cannot do that without the person's lawyer. You see, and there's another thing, you know, I will deal with that also at once. There's another thing they were saying initially. When we heard the spokesperson for the Attorney General, when he said repeatedly on various media that at the time that the Attorney General contacted
The accused wasn't having a lawyer.
he didn't have a lawyer.
Yes, I was about to come to that. That another allegation that is flying around is that at the time this conversation was had, Mr. Jakpa did not have a lawyer. And so if he did not have a lawyer at the time, then of course, if the Attorney General wants to speak to somebody, then he could speak to Mr. Jakpa himself and not through any lawyer, because if he was not having a lawyer, do you have anything contrary to these allegations that are flying
Well,
around?
yes. Not only do I have anything contrary, it is also wrong whether he had a lawyer at the particular time or not.
Okay.
But the information in the public domain shows that on the 9th of April, when they had that conversation, the accused person had a lawyer, and the lawyer's name was even mentioned. That is
lawyer. Sorry.
Yes, that is sorry.
Okay.
So he had a lawyer. So there was no reason for contacting him directly without his lawyer.
Okay.
But quite apart from that, you see, there's also a provision in our rules that require of the not only even the Attorney General, require of the court to explain to every accused person that they have a right to engage a lawyer and even assist them. In fact, in other countries, certain jurisdictions like America, they will even give you a lawyer. If you say you need a lawyer and you don't have money to hire one, they'll give you one free to represent you because your liberty is at stake.
Okay.
So they have to provide you all the necessary support and that is why even the burden of the burden of proof is that they have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you have committed that offense before you be punished. You see, so the point is that this accused person and all accused persons, they have to be helped to get lawyers. Now, this man in this case had lawyers. They didn't say that he never had a lawyer in the matter. They said that he changed lawyers. Yes, a number of times.
Right.
So it means that at all times he had indicated that he wanted to be represented by a lawyer. Is that not the matter? Is that not the case?
Right.
So at all times, but it may be true also that at various times he lost the services of the lawyers that were representing him. And then if he lost the service of a lawyer that was representing him at a particular time, he would go in for another lawyer. That's what he would do. So in the period, in the interim, when he didn't have a lawyer, that is not a good time for the prosecutor or anybody who is prosecution to contact him. If you know that this person has always had a lawyer, or this person has indicated to the court that he always wanted somebody to represent him, and he indeed engaged a lawyer that was representing him. We don't know. They didn't tell us how come he lost the services of those lawyers. Whether he fired, because he has every right to fire his lawyer anytime he likes, and it could be the lawyers could also decide to pull out of the case and all of that. The point is that once he has indicated that I don't want to do this case by myself, I want the lawyer to represent me, and the lawyer was representing him, if at any point of time he lost the services of that lawyer, he has to be assisted, supported by the court, given reasonable time to find a lawyer. That's not what happens in this. In fact, in this country, and I remember even the Venerable Chachu Chikata's case. I understand the day he was even imprisoned, his lawyer was not there. His lawyer had traveled. And then they forced him to represent himself. They do that a lot. And this particular Attorney General that we are talking about right now, he's fond of doing that. Because he will say that, well, we are wasting time, the case is taking too long, and he's in a rush always to put people in jail. to put people in prison, to harass people. And so I heard that at some point Mr. Jakpa was forced to represent himself or to give evidence when he didn't have a lawyer. If that actually happened, it means that he was forced because they knew he wanted a lawyer. They should have given him every time, you see, that he needed to look for a new lawyer to represent him. So if you are now coming, if you know that the man had a lawyer and lost the service of the lawyer, and then you went after him to go and have all kinds of discussion with him, and then later on you come with the excuse that, oh, at the time I contacted him, he didn't have a lawyer. It is as bad as anything. It's as bad as contacting an accused person that you knew had a lawyer even at that time because you knew that he needed a lawyer, he wanted a lawyer at all times, and he actually had lawyers, or one lawyer that had represented him, and if he lost the services, he was going to go for another one. So why would you contact him within that period that he didn't have a lawyer? So that argument falls flat, in fact, per the rules.
Right.
So if anybody is making that argument, I don't think that we should. You see, the listeners to understand clearly that once the accused person has indicated that I need a lawyer in this matter, they have to help him to get a lawyer.
Okay.
It is only in Ghana. In fact, that is why, you know, for a very long time, I established an organization called Help Law Ghana, and I was providing free legal services. Because in this country, they always take people to court, they don't have lawyers, and they jail them. Plenty. When you go to our prisons in Sam and all of that, there are several people over there. In fact, some of them, they arrest the police will arrest them, beat them up, write statement for them, confession statement, rush them to court. Upon the statement written for them by the police, they put them in jail. But they don't have lawyers. They don't even ask them, do you need a lawyer? Because, look, like, again, in U.S., there's a warning they call Miranda warning. I tell you, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in court. You have the right to counsel of your choice. If you cannot hire one, the state will provide you one. And then you answer, yes, I need a lawyer. Give me time to hire a lawyer. They give you time. Oh, I need a lawyer, but I don't have money. I cannot engage one. Then they will direct you straight away to a legal aid. The legal aid is also, it's just like the Attorney General's office. The opposite of that is, it's also for the state. But these are defenders, public defenders. They defend people just like how we have prosecutors prosecuting. So the state has lawyers that the state is paying them, and they are supposed to defend the rights of people who are even accused by the same state. So the same state has two departments, one prosecuting, one defending. You see, that is how important they take the liberty of citizens.
Right.
But over here, it's so common. So common. The courts even don't care. They just rush the people. Sometimes when you see their faces are swollen, clearly showing that they've been beaten while in custody, and then the police take them through the process, read statements to the court statement that were written for them by the same police, and then on the strength of those statements, they put them in jail. So if accused person says, I need a lawyer, you have to make sure that the accused person gets a lawyer. You shouldn't be rushing and say that, well, this case is taking too long, like the way they were trying to even do Honorable Judge Ekwesi's case. Every day you have to come to court, you have to do it every day because they wanted to rush and put somebody in jail. That is what this Attorney General always wants to do, and it is wrong.
Now let's look at the Attorney General's conversation with Mr. Richard Jakpa.
Yes.
What is wrong with that conversation?
Everything is wrong with the conversation, and that is the second rule that he violated. The first one is contacting him.
Yes.
Contacting him in the first place.
So contacting him in the first place. I understand that he has breached, or he has broken the rule.
Rule 13.1.
Of course, and that is a rule of the fraternity.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes.
And if
misconduct. Yes.
Yeah, misconduct. And if any lawyer does that, I believe that the person could be reported to the General Legal Counsel.
Yes.
You know, for a disciplinary action.
It doesn't mean that may be the only effect. That may be the only effect. It may also have effect on the case itself, the case that is in court.
Great.
Yes.
So in this case, NDC is calling for prosecution of the Attorney General and not reporting the matter to the General Legal Counsel for an action to be taken. Are you sure that you are placing your complaints right at the doorsteps or where?
Yes, I think so. You see, the issues that go to the General Legal Counsel, the issues that go there could also be basis for prosecution. But quite apart from that, there's also a provision of the Criminal Offences Act. Yeah, provision, I think 213 or so, section 213 of Act 29, which is the criminal offense. That's that's a provision against fabrication of evidence.
Okay.
Yes, so that has also been violated in this matter because he was trying to coerce the accused person to give evidence that to incriminate.
What specifically did he say in that tape that amounts to falsification of evidence or, you know, tampering with evidence?
Well, clearly he propounded a theory of the case. What he believed if he put before the court will enable him to jail Honorable Atto-Forson.
Okay.
Yes, and then he was asking, and you see, because Mr. Jakpa was somebody, in fact, he was the agent of Big C, the suppliers of the ambulance. So he's an insider. So his evidence will carry a lot of value, a lot of weight. You see, so he was telling Mr. Jakpa to agree to the theory that he had. And I believe he was trying to say something like, because Mr. Jakpa was explaining to him that the LC that was raised, that was established in the bank, it was for 50. In fact, you have to raise LC for 50 of the ambulances. First of all, a letter was written to the Bank of Ghana to set up LCs, and I believe these LCs were set up in Stanbic Bank or something like that. But it has to be in 50 for 50 ambulances. If they ship the ambulances, 50 of them, and then they present a bid of lading to that is a Government of Ghana, Ministry of Health, then the suppliers can now go to the bank on the account of the LC to take the money for that. But I believe he was trying to say that the LC that was raised for all 200 ambulances at the same time.
Right.
That is it. That is something I need to check and be very sure if that was a theory. But clearly, he was propounding a theory of the case which he wanted Mr. Jakpa to buy into that, to testify, in fact, answer questions that would promote that theory, because he believed that theory was what was necessary for him to imprison Honorable Atto-Forson. And then you would hear Mr. Jakpa clearly saying that, no, if I do that, it will mean I'm dishonest, and I'm going through an ordeal already in this time, I don't want somebody else. And he mentioned the first accused person's name, Honorable Atto-Forson. So, so Mr. Jakpa understood what exactly the Attorney General was saying and told him in his face that if I agree with you, that will be dishonesty. And then the Attorney General didn't challenge that. He didn't say, no, it wouldn't be dishonesty. He rather was telling him that, oh, if you agree to that theory, it wouldn't spoil anything. You wouldn't lose anything. You see, if Mr. Jakpa had agreed to all of these things, this suggesting the Attorney General was making to him, I believe what he would have done was would be to enter nolle prosequa for Mr. Jakpa as well. They will let him off the hook, because the only person he wanted was Honorable Atto-Forson.
Okay.
And that's why he was trying to see if he could plant or he could get the witness to testify in a particular way, and that is witness tampering. I was trying to interfere with the witness, in fact, trying to get him to twist his testimony to answer questions in a particular way. All of that amount to fabrication.
So it means that the NDC's call for his prosecution is in the right direction.
Yes, it is.
Because he has done something that is subject, to prosecution.
And I'm saying that, yes, clearly the section 213 of Act 29, the Criminal Offences Act, I believe that has been contravened, that has been violated.
Right.
So that one is a criminal matter directly. And then I'm saying that the rules, in fact, the various rules, about 5 of them that the Attorney General also contravened in the professional conduct and etiquette rules, those also could be explored to have some basis for prosecuting him. Because in fact, if the rules prohibit certain actions or certain conduct by lawyers, it means that those conducts were considered to be wrong when you do those to the general public. So yes, it could be explored whether, but generally, this is NDC, the chairman of NDC. In fact, at some point when he was addressing the press, he even stated that he was not a lawyer. Indeed, he was not a lawyer. He could say generally that, oh yeah, we want him to be prosecuted, but prosecution in his sense may mean even reprimanding him or taking some disciplinary action by the General Legal Counsel. But again, I have also established that he has also violated the criminal code somehow. So yes, so it is in place to say that he should be prosecuted. Now,
the New Patriotic Party has held a counter press conference. What they are saying is that your call to have the Attorney General prosecuted, is baseless, frivolous, and with no merit. one thing they've also indicated is that the tape that you played is a doctored tape, and that they don't believe that he should be prosecuted or he should resign based on the said tape that was played. Your reaction?
And that press conference was completely useless. Completely useless. You just say that they said that the Attorney General would not resign, and but what was the reason? Why did they say that he didn't do anything wrong? Did they
that you played a doctored tape, that the tape was doctored?
That's for playing a doctored. Anybody can say that a tape is doctored, but did they present the authentic one? They didn't present any tape to the general public for us to. So we can play the best tape ever, very authentic, and somebody can come and say it's doctored. So what? Yeah. So but unless the person is able to give us something else, you see, we have the alternate facts. They have to tell us that no, this is the story, the alternative story of what you people have said. And so if you play, and I heard them saying that the NDC or whoever initially had said the duration of the tape was 26 minutes, and yet they played only 16 minutes, and so it was left at 10 minutes. So you can't make such an argument, assuming that NDC believes that it is only 16 minutes out of the 26 minutes that will make their case for them. Why would you want them to play all the tape? It is for you if you think that there's information on the rest of the 10 minutes that would absolve your person. You have to play that. You don't have that. How about if NDC thinks that the information that is on the rest of the 10 minutes of the will incriminate other people, or it's so horrible, we don't want it, so we don't want to play it. So the evidence that I think that will help my case is what I will put out. And so if they doubt that or they challenge that, then they have to come out with something else. They didn't come out with anything. And I said that I can cite about 5 instances of violating the rules, our professional conduct rules. In their press conference, did they answer to any of them? None, zero. They didn't mention any of them. They didn't say that it was not his voice that was on the tape. They didn't say that. In fact, they didn't. I'm not sure I heard in their press conference that they at the time the Attorney General contacted the witness, he didn't have a lawyer. I'm not too sure if I heard that. That was said earlier by the spokesperson.
Right.
But in the press conference itself, they didn't respond to any of the allegations of misconduct. And they didn't also even talk about the allegation of violating the criminal code by trying to get the witness to fabricate evidence. So what did they talk about? They only came and said this Attorney General has saved Ghana a lot of money, blah, 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 and so he is not going nowhere. The NDC is saying he should resign, he will not resign, and all. That's why it's empty, completely empty. They didn't answer any of the allegations.
So you think that their press conference never
it's a waste of
responded to any of the allegations you've leveled against the Attorney General?
If you know of any of the allegations they responded to, tell me. Saying a tape, it's a doctor tape, did that respond to? They didn't deny that the voice on the, because a doctor tape could actually mean that they cut off some of the voice or they added somebody else's voice and all of that. Did they tell us which particular part of the conversation was his voice and which part was not his voice and what else he said that was not brought and all of that? None. They didn't do any of those things. So that press conference was only intended to throw dust into the eyes of the general public. No, that's what they try to do, and they like doing this so much, and a lot of people will be convinced because they just came and shout and said the man will not resign, and that's all, but nothing. They have not responded to any of the allegations that have been made against him for contacting that witness and for what he said to the witness about trying to, in fact, why the Attorney General was trying to do is what we describe as the malicious prosecution, because you know that the evidence is not there. You don't have the facts to support the charges, and yet you are trying to manufacture the facts. And that is also one of the rules anyway, that look, if you shouldn't start a prosecution when you know that you don't have evidence or you don't have the facts to support the charges. You shouldn't do that, because that would amount to harassing citizens or harassing whoever is accused. We have to understand that Attorney General's office is a high office. In fact, it's a highly respected one. In fact, it is the only office, ministerial office, that is mentioned in our Constitution, Article 88(1). It is mentioned clearly because the Attorney General is exercising the powers of his office on behalf of Ghanaians.
Right.
On behalf of Ghanaians, and is the Minister for Justice. So, you know, he has to seek fairness for all of us and all of that. So if that attorney general, that is, in fact, that is the reason why it is important for NDC to put this matter in the public domain, because one of the arguments I'm hearing the MPP apparatchiks make also is that, oh, this thing is a legal matter, NDC should go and fight it all in court. Why are you saying it to the public and all of that? You know, but the point is that the attorney general is exercising his duties and discretion on behalf of Ghanaians. You see, and so Ghanaians deserve to know the way he is going about his duties.
Right.
And so if he's misconducting himself, we need to know. And that is why he himself, when he goes to court, most time when he goes to court, he comes by, he talks to the press. He tells them what he's doing and how the case is going and all of that, because we need to know. And so if Ghanaians think that is harassing a citizen, and by the way, the one area that we are losing sight of is that, you see, these MPP people would want to make us believe that Attorney General is only fighting to save Ghana some money. You know, it is very important to let Ghanaians know that his aim is not to help us save money. In fact, indeed, in this particular case, especially.
We'll come to that. We'll come to the plea bargain
and
all that, and why they have rejected it, because I know that the Deputy Attorney General just indicated that, you know, rejecting the plea bargain isn't something that is wrong, you know, on their side.
Yeah,
but,
okay. I'll be interested in the reason he gave for...
But they're having calls for the Attorney General to resign.
Yes.
And this is what the New Patriotic Party had to say. We have called you here because the NDC have since last week set a motion, a malicious scheme fueled by lies, falsehoods, misrepresentations, blackmail, and needless pollution of the mass media, with the sole intention of obstructing the course of justice and scandalizing the criminal proceedings in the High Court, all in the bid to shield Ato Forson, MP and Minority Leader in Parliament and former Deputy Minister of Finance, and his associates from taking responsibility for authorizing some payments which resulted in a whooping sum of 3.27 million euros lost by the state, monies that belongs to all of us. So if you look at their press conference, what they are basically saying is that the Attorney General is not resigning. I know that there have been such calls from the NDC, and Sansari has also made, you know, a similar call to have the AG resign. But the New Patriotic Party thinks that he's not done anything that warrants his resignation, and that he's not resigning.
Yes. Yes. Well, there's not much I can say or anybody can say about that.
Right.
The resignation has to be a voluntary decision. It's not for the New Patriotic Party to say that he will not resign. If he himself decides to resign, if he's saying that what he's done was wrong and is scandalous and he wants to resign, he will resign. Yes, but because he's one of theirs and they are saying he will not resign, I don't know what to say about that. But clearly what I can say is that they have not defended him in any way. That press conference, what you read over there is just big English, very empty, big English.
Right.
That's all. It doesn't carry anything. They are not saying he didn't do anything wrong, because there were specific allegations. And I'm saying that the entire of their press conference does not address any of the allegations. And the allegations, the misconduct, the violation of those rules and the law, the criminal code, is what we are complaining about. And we are saying that is the reason we are saying he should resign. So if you are coming and say the man will not resign, you have to pick them one after the other and explain to us why we are wrong in saying that he's violated that. Because, and then when they went on and said the NDC with lies, they said we lied. That's what they said. What's the lie?
Engaged in lies, misrepresentation.
So what is a lie? What is a misrepresentation? None. They didn't give any example. And unfortunately, you know, they gather the press, you go there, you listen to all of this, and then you go and write it. And you don't even question them that, oh, can you tell us some of the lies that the NDC said in this matter? Nobody asks those questions. See, when you send your reporters to the field, and they go, they hear all of this, and they run, they come and publish it. That's all.
Right. Now let's come to the plea bargain.
Yes.
What is that?
Yes, the plea bargain, in fact, it's quite late in the day in coming to in Ghana. In other places, it's very common. You see, first of all, let me give you the counterpart in a civil trials, civil matters.
Right.
The civil matters, the two sides. You know, the civil matter means there are two sides that are fighting over a particular issue or
Right.
over a number of issues, and they are allowed or permitted to come to a consensus or an agreement as to how they want to resolve their issues or their
Right.
problems. And then once they agree, they can write that out and then send it to the court and say that, look, although the matter is in court, the two of us have agreed to deal with it in this particular way. And the court will accept that as what we call consent judgment.
Right.
Yeah, so, and it's very common that even in matrimonial cases, as a husband and wife cases, divorce
Right.
and all of those things, it's very common that one side will say, well, let's discuss terms of settlement. So we discuss it and say that, look, if we go the full length of this trial, we are going to spend money, waste time, and everything. And so can we do some discussion, negotiation, give and take, and agree on something, and then put it before the court? And when you agree, the two parties agree, the courts do not question that at all. Whatever they agree on, the court will say, no. The court will never say, this one you didn't do right. The parties have agreed to that. The court is going to accept that as judgment and write it down as its judgment. And it is called consent judgment because the two sides have consented to it. In criminal trial, it is the principle is the same. There's the prosecution, which is the state, because the government that prosecutes, and then there's the accused person or the defendant, the person they are prosecuting. So now the opportunity is given, to the accused person to say that, look, I want us to discuss these charges. I want us I want to plead guilty for some of them. If you can accept, because maybe I've been charged with about 20 counts, and then if I am guilty for all the 20 counts, the punishment, the term of I have to be in prison maybe about 20 years. But I want to plead guilty for about 3 of them. I save you time that you have to come to court, resources that you have to spend, and all the hustle and all of that. So I save you that also, and then you also have to give me something back instead of putting me in jail for 20 years if I'm guilty of all the counts. You give me a lesser punishment. So sometimes the accused person would plead guilty to lesser offenses in the counts or in the charges.
Right.
And then they also agree that, okay, the punishment, we also reduce the punishment and all of that. Now, if you attempt to negotiate, bargaining is like negotiating. If you attempt to negotiate the terms of the prosecution, the terms of, if you let me just use the legal terms straight away, to plea bargain. If you attempt to do that, it doesn't mean admission of guilt for all the charges. You just want to save time. You see, you want to save time and save resources and all of that. And so perhaps if the matter would go the full length, you may be found guilty for all the counts. It's also possible that you may not be found guilty of all the counts.
Right.
You may be completely innocent, or you may be found guilty for some of them, but not all of them. But you considered all of this, and the time that you spend, and maybe the money that you spend in hiring lawyers and all of that, you put it all together and say, no, I don't want to go through this for 3-4 years. And the things that you have alleged, perhaps I've done some of them, so I can plead guilty to some of them. And then you also agree that. So that is what it is about, basically. So it depends on but the parties will have to understand the issues very well and know the weight. In fact, know even how, if you are going to confess to some of the crimes, or you are going to say that, yes, indeed, I did this and all of that, plead guilty to some of them, you must know the punishment they carry, all those things. You have to be abreast with all of that. You see, all the information has to be available to you, and you understand it very well before you can make decision. So you make informed decision. That is how it is. In
So
fact,
this is a normal practice in law?
Yes, not in this country. The plea bargain, in fact, the plea bargain law was an amendment to the criminal procedure law, because it didn't used to be the case in this. So, but it was they thought that it was necessary, and I understand it was this same Attorney General that championed it. Some of us we had talked about it over and over again, because we came from jurisdictions that it is very common,
right?
That people would just plead guilty for some of the counts, and they'll be on parole, meaning they will not even send them to jail. They will have to do some public work somewhere and all of that. So that is what it means. So in this particular case, once there's opportunity to bargain or to negotiate for this, I understand that there was an attempt coming from the side of the defense, not necessarily the parties in the case, accused person.
Right.
Yeah, because the defense is not just the 3 people that were charged. Yeah, it could be all the people, for instance, the Big C Trading Limited. The Big C Trading Limited is a supplier of the ambulances. So they supply the ambulances. Their agent is the 3rd accused, Mr. Jakpa. So Big C was the one that initiated or the one that proposed some terms to the Attorney General, because Big C is saying that we are international company of repute. We don't want our name to be dragged in the mud. And so if it is about the money that you want and you don't want our vehicle, we would give you the money, the money that was paid to us. Just ship the vehicles to us and we'll give you the money. And I think that is an excellent proposal, because if we have an Attorney General, in fact, Ghanaians would have been more interested in retrieving the money, getting their money back, than seeing people go to jail and we don't even get a dime.
Putting people behind bars.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but this Attorney General says no. So the €2 million that Big C is willing to give to us so that they take their vehicles back, Attorney General says no, I won't take it. Me, I want to jail Minority Leader Dr. Atu Keso. That's all, Atu Fosin. So I won't accept your proposal. But what he forgot was that he was exercising this discretion on behalf of the people of Ghana. You see, and so he has to think about what Ghanaian people would want in the circumstances, what we would prefer between accepting the money back and using the money to do something valuable for the country,
right,
and seeing somebody go to jail. And again, I must also explain clearly that the law of causing financial loss to the state does not require that those charged should benefit or benefited from any of their actions. That is a very important factor. Everybody needs to understand that. So when you are charged, a public official is charged of causing financial loss to the state, it doesn't mean the person stole anything.
Okay.
It might mean that the person did not even get 1 cedi, 1 peso from the whole deal.
Right.
Like in the case of Honorable Ato Fosin. He was not the one doing the trading. He didn't carry any money to go and pay to anybody. In fact, no money passed through his hands. He only wrote a letter to Bank of Ghana that set up letter of credit so that I will be able to purchase these ambulances for the health ministry and all of that. So we need to understand that the law, what they are prosecuting him for, does not mean that he has benefited from the deal at all. Not at all. And so if it is just the matter of the money having having been lost by the state, then the people who received the money came out and said, we shall give your money to you. Give us our vehicle. Then the only other issue that will remain for discussion will be to how do we get the vehicle to you? Who will pay for the shipment and all of that? They sit down and talk about all of that.
But lawyer, I think our time is almost up. But the AG says it was fair and candid in refusing plea bargain.
Why?
This is what the Deputy AG said.
Yes, I'm interested in hearing that.
Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chiayibua has clarified that the Office of the Attorney General was fair and candid in refusing a plea bargain request from one of the accused in the ongoing ambulance purchase trial. According to him, the decision vested in the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Godfrey Dame to either reject or accept such an offer was properly exercised. Quote, so that matter, we have no reservations or problems with regards to the decision taken by the Attorney General as to rejecting the offer, he said. The Attorney General has released the full details of plea bargain letters sent to his office by the 3rd accused, Richard Jakpa, in the ongoing ambulance purchase case. The action comes after Jakpa claimed in open court that Godfrey Dame approached him multiple times seeking his assistance to implicate the first accused, Dr. Kisela Atufo. Dismissing Jakpa's claims, the Attorney General insisted that Jakpa had actually sent several letters requesting to plea bargain to drop all charges against the accused. He added that the proposal has not yet been accepted. So he thinks that they are fair, or they have been fair.
So what did he say?
He's not really
was
giving any reason as to why that was
is,
actually...
so this boy are talking without substance. He didn't give the reason. We all know that the Attorney General has a discretion to accept or not. But I'm saying that he's exercising that discretion on behalf of the people of Ghana.
Right.
We need to know why you make one decision but not the other. So all that you read, there's nothing in it.
Okay.
You see, and that's why they keep treating Ghanaians. They are telling Ghanaians that, yeah, it is fair. It is fair. Tell us why it is fair. He has not said so. Why is it fair? He has not said so. I was waiting to, that's why, I kept saying that I'm interested in what he said. Tell us, because
that
I really want to know why.
Because of ABC and that's how come we have rejected it.
Yes.
Then Ghanaians will know.
Yes.
But if you're not telling us why you've rejected it and you keep saying that you are fair.
Yes, you are fair.
You're not being fair.
Yes.
In
The statement that was released, either in one of their statements, the one that was released initially, in which they said that the Attorney General had never spoken to Mr. Jakpa. I don't know if it was in that same statement or somewhere else that they said that Attorney General, although this proposal was made, that the Big C would refund the 2 million euro. He wanted the accused persons in Ghana to plead guilty before he would consider that offer. I don't know if you understand that. It means that you see, he wants the proposal to be coming from, especially the minority leader. He wants him to be the one coming to say that, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And then because he just wants to establish that the minority leader committed a crime. You understand? And so I read that in somewhere. So it means that, that's why I kept saying that he is not interested in the money. He was not fighting for the money. Till now, he's not fighting for that money, because that money is there to grab.
Right.
I believe that if tomorrow he called Big C and said that, I want to just drop all these charges, we want that money, Big C will be willing to do it.
Very well.
Because they said that we don't want to be dragged in this mud.
Okay.
So we'll give you back the money. And you said no, because I want to jail Honorable Atufo. If I take that money, I can't jail him. So for me, I just want to jail him. Ghanaians don't want you to jail him. Ghanaians want their money, because Atufo didn't take any money, didn't benefit from this deal at all. He was trying to do something for Ghana. And so if people say you don't want the vehicle, and the suppliers of the vehicle said that, give me back my vehicles, I will give you your money. Why don't you do that? And then Atufo will also be free and do his work in Parliament.
Right.
But you are saying, no, I don't want the money. You keep the 2 million. I want to put Atufo rather in jail. That's it. Is that what Ghanaians want? So he's not acting